Good morning, Darren. Good morning, everyone. How are you
Good
today,
morning.
sir?
Yep. All right.
Awesome. We'll welcome everyone to a live stream that we're hosting this morning. We just released a new project called Cleo, which is a new AI assistant for working on your command line with lots of different systems. And we were excited to give it a quick demo and walk you through it. So Darren and I thought we'd jump into a live stream and begin kind of just by explaining what Cleo is, and then go into the process of showing you what we think you can do with her. So Darren, maybe you can kick us off with a little bit of an overview of Cleo.
Yeah, so like kind of the background on, the background on Cleo is so we released GPT script a while ago, a couple months ago. And that's to kind of help people. It's a very easy way to interact with AI. It's like a scripting language for AI. It doesn't require any code. It makes it really easily accessible to AI. But as I've been working with people, like I've been able to do like amazingly cool stuff with AI. I've really enjoyed it, but it requires hooking it up to things, like how do you get it access to systems or whatever. And then I kind of discovered it's like, oh, AI or ChatGPT or whatever, it's like it knows command lines really well. Like you can ask it anything and it'll tell you like type whatever, and it knows it really well. How can I easily hook that up, to like how can I kind of bind those things together so you can very easily kind of leverage and use this AI. So it's like Cleo's been something that I've been working on for a while, where it's like it's like, how do I just basically take the power of ChatGPT, but just combine it with the CLI into something that's super useful? And so that was just kind of where it came from. I wanted to basically try to figure out, I don't know, just kind of how to make it, AI as accessible as possible to kind of like a lot of the people I know in the DevOps realm and stuff like that, where it's like, I think this is an incredibly useful tool, but it's just a little too difficult. It's just like a couple, 2 steps away from people. So it's like, this is like my best attempt of like, look how easy it is to leverage AI, like in your daily workflows, and just help you out and do things, whatever.
I've known you a long time, and this has always been kind of what you tend to do. I mean, whether it was K3S or GPT script or Cleo or even Acorn, all these projects, they all seem to sort of focus on usability and kind of getting to value quickly. And so hopefully this kind of follows that same path. But I know when you started working on this, you were tweeting about this and we were chatting about it. It was kind of like, oh, maybe I could build a Kubernetes assistant. And it began life in a lot of ways as, what would a Kubernetes assistant look like that just worked on Kubernetes? But obviously Cleo goes beyond Kubernetes. So maybe talk through that journey just briefly. Like how did it go from, ooh, Kubernetes assistant would be useful to, ooh, just a command line assistant would be useful?
Yeah. I mean, so where I started with the Kubernetes was, it's like, we pivoted the whole company to AI. So it's like, cool, we're doing all this AI stuff. But what I wanted to do was like, so we built GPT script, which was like a tool for people to leverage AI, but it's like, can I actually now take this and do something useful? And so our background has been DevOps, Kubernetes, and that stuff. So it's like, well, I should be able to use AI and integrate with Kubernetes to provide something useful. So I started doing all these different, fancy approaches and whatnot. And what I started to realize, because it's like, we can integrate directly with the APIs through Open API and stuff like that. But I realized, I'm like, hey, just having AI run kubectl worked surprisingly well, like really, really well. And it was like, it was just like a very nice thing, because you realize it's like AI is kind of trained on all this data that's for humans, right? So it's like there's a lot of blogs and articles on how to use kubectl and stuff like that. So it just happens to know it really, really well, and it does all these cool little tricks and stuff. So I started going down that route of like, oh, well, I wanted to build this assistant, but it like just kind of ended up being like, well, it's a really simple wrapper around kubectl. So then I started thinking like, well, there's a lot of other CLIs in the DevOps ecosystem. Like, let me start trying other ones. And I started figuring out, it's like a lot of the CLIs that exist for a lot of these common public systems, whatever, AI already knows really well. But there's like times where it doesn't know it good enough. And so it was like, well, what's the, besides, because like that's what people kind of will complain. If I go to ChatGPT and I ask it a question, it's like, well, it's wrong. So it's like, well, how do I deal with that? With the fact that like it knows it pretty well, but not well enough. And then so that's where it's like started with Cleo, where it's like, okay, well, how do I easily connect kind of AI to a CLI so it can run commands for me? But then how do I deal with the fact that like it's not always right, or how do I teach it new commands? And so that's what like a lot of Cleo is like, because we'll show kind of under the hood how it's constructed. It's really, really simple. It's all built on top of GPT script, but it's like there's two paths of like where AI is going to get, like it doesn't know. So with Cleo, you can very easily kind of teach it what's the right syntax. The other thing that's incredibly powerful is because we allow it to run commands, it sees the result of those commands, which are sometimes wrong, and then it fixes itself. And so it's like, so what happens is like the quality becomes significantly higher because it has the ability to iterate. And so this is where it's really fun, because like I'm super interested in agentic stuff, and it's like this is like Cleo is kind of like the beginning of my journey of trying to build reasonable agentic systems. And you can see that where it's like it can try, fail, retry, anything. I think I got a little bit off on a tangent there or whatever, but that's kind of the journey of how I think I got here.
I will tell you, it's I'm really excited for you to demo this, because for somebody who's not a DevOps engineer or a developer like me, I find the CLI to always be sort of a rabbit hole that I go down, and I'm constantly trying to teach myself something I never really learned. Having never learned programming or never learned DevOps. And it's amazing having an AI built into the CLI. As I'm working and all of a sudden I run into something I just don't know how to do, I can literally just ask Cleo, like, what is this? How do I do this better? What are some tools that might help me with this? How do I set up a Python environment that I want to use? So yeah, let's get into this. I'd really like to have you show off Cleo and kind of talk about, maybe before we talk about how it was built, let's save that for the end. Let's just talk about using it. Start with day one. Okay, install it. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, so I want to say like this is great for like someone like you who, like, let's say you don't know these commands or whatever. It's like I know these commands and it's still great for me. It's like it's because this is something I legitimately actually use day to day because I found it useful enough. Okay, so again, the idea with Cleo is like I just wanted to lower the barrier as much as possible to getting this for people to use it. So it's just GPT script AI. You to install it, tap Cleo. So you can find this. Let me pull up the everything is on our GitHub page. GPT script Cleo. So this is where you'll find the code and everything. It's just this repo. There's really not a lot in there, but the brew command you'll find in there. So if you want to reference it later, but that's it to install it. Obviously, I already have it installed, so this will fail. That's the latest version. So to get up and running, just type Cleo. Oh shoot. Well, hold on. Let me. I'm running. Let me actually run like the actual release version. Yeah. Okay. So this is running the actual release version. Okay. So the very first thing that's going to happen is like it's going to check for authentication. So this is one thing that's cool about Cleo is like by default it's going to go to our back end, which is pretty much just a proxy for OpenAI right now. So we're kind of fronting the bill for that. So this is just going to pop open a browser and have you do an OAuth to GitHub. I'm already authenticated, so that just kind of immediately went through. But you would have to agree. The only thing we're asking for is your email. But this is just to get you up and running. You can try this out. It's free. We're paying for the tokens. But you can also bypass us too. Like you can just set, like if you have for security or whatever reasons, you can just, with Cleo, you can just set the parameters here and you can direct it to your own backend system. So this is like in no way actually tied to our backend. It's just we're doing this because we really just want people to try it out. And that's been a big barrier that I see in general. Is people are like, how much is this going to cost? It's going to be so expensive. But the cost is like, it's dropping so fast. With GPT-4o mini, it's like the cost is just going down so fast. But anyways, that's why also we can give this away for free. So, so when you start it up, the very first time you run it, it is going to take like a minute or so because it actually has to set up all this stuff. There's kind of all this fanciness happening in the background with the way GPT script works. So the very first run is going to download and cache a bunch of stuff. But after that, like second runs should just basically start up immediately. So it's nice and quick. I put a lot of time in optimizing the startup because it drove me nuts how slow it was. It gives you this nice friendly introduction. You should probably read it. But the key thing is it's just telling you like the way this works. Clio is really designed to just run CLI. With CLI commands, it's like with the underlying technology, GPT script, we can actually do a lot more. We can integrate with APIs and all this other stuff. But it's nice to just keep this focused on CLI. So that this chatbot is kind of just oriented towards that. It's going to try to run CLIs, which is great for the DevOps ecosystem. Under the hood, the way this is organized is there's a series of agents. And so this is where it's like we've customized and created these kind of sub-agents that have specialized knowledge. So you can interact directly with these. You can just kind of message them using an @ style. So if you want to talk directly to an agent, because you know I want to do something with EKS or Kubernetes, one of the built-in ones, you can just message it directly. Or you can just start asking it things. And if you ask a question and the AI is like, hey, this agent would probably be better to handle that, it will then forward the question to the agent, and then you'll start talking to that agent. So let me see. But yeah, so this is like kind of the basic thing. So it's like I can start off and I can try like this sample message here. It says here is like, what's the status of my cluster? So for this, it's like I want to do Kubernetes, so I'm just going to send it directly and just say, what's the status of my cluster? Oops, did that work? What's the? Oh, oops. Let's see. Whatever. Okay, that's funny. It said, "What's the?" And it looks like your message was cut off. Can you provide me? And then I pasted the second half of it. Okay, because you can see. So what happened when I typed "What's the?" Somebody already pointed this out on Twitter. Like there's some rendering issues here. I wrote the TUI portion, and I'm not a front end person, and like I kind of it was my best effort. It's got problems, but you can see like so the very first thing is it's calling the Kate's agent. So this is like intentionally with Cleo. What I tried to do in this user experience is like I'm trying to give you visibility to what it's doing. So it's not just like, oh, I'm thinking, and then here's the result. It's like it will say I'm running this command with these arguments. Here's the output of the command. So you can see under the hood because it's super useful of like if let's say it runs like kubectl to see the actual output of that beyond what AI is going to interpret it. So you can see like it calls this agent, and so once it's in there, there's a tool that I built for it. I can show you this under the hood where it's like it's calling this tool, it's then calling exec. And so now at this point, it wants to run kubectl get nodes. And so this is where it's like one of the big questions people always have, like when I've pitched this idea before, it's like, oh, use AI to run commands. The first thing is people are like, how do you know it's not going to delete your cluster, or delete your database or something like that. So it's like, we put confirmation, like this thing can't do anything unless you like say yes. And so this actually gets a little obnoxious, to be honest, because like you're constantly saying yes, 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 if it's running a bunch of commands. So you can, I'll continue to refine the UX and get it less annoying because it bugs me. But what it will do is like, so it wants to run this command, but I can hit A and it will allow any kubectl get. Like it's kind of hard-coded logic where it's like if it tries to run a command, it just takes the first two arguments and says like, oh, well, if you say all, then anything that's, so anyway, so here I'm just going to say, all. So I'll just let it do that. And then here it's the same thing. It wants to do a Helm list because it's just like right now it's just trying to figure out what's the status of my cluster. And now it wants to run. So you can see like it went to run the get, but it didn't ask me that one because I already confirmed it. But now it wants to run kubectl config view. So yeah, like you can do that. Okay, so now it's actually, checking out my cluster, however it's going. Oh, that was weird. There was some spurious error there. So this one, everything's going fine on this or whatever. So, but I just kind of wanted to show you just the general user experience. So, because you can just start doing just random dumb things of can you list my local files? Right. Oh, in the current working directory. You'll notice this comes up sometimes is there's a concept of a workspace with GPT script where it's kind of a scratch space that we give for GPT script. So it's because by default, sometimes it wants to create and write files and stuff. And so it can write it into the workspace, or you can tell it, to use your current working directory. So sometimes it gets confused on which one. Okay. So, whatever. So it's just listing the directories. So the cool thing is so what's fun is you can start getting it to troubleshoot things. Oh, holy crap, this is printing a lot, whatever. This is why it's nice. We're paying the bill when we end up with a bunch of tokens. So the other day I ran into, I was using Vert Manager, which is this, let me see, I'll show you Vert Manager. We're using Vert Manager to run Windows. And I ran into this issue. This is interesting because I hit it yesterday where I have this VM here. This is running Windows. And you can see it's got two processors in it. And it was driving me nuts because I had gone into the configuration of this thing and I had set it up because I wanted it to be using 32 cores. And it wasn't reflecting. And I couldn't figure, it wasn't I couldn't figure out why. AI fixed it for me yesterday. So I kind of reproducing this problem just to demo it because this is what I did yesterday. And so we'll see if this actually works. So my issue was I thought I configured it to 32 cores, but Windows was still showing 2 cores or whatever. So I say it's I have a Windows VM in Vert Manager that should be configured to 32 cores, but Windows is reporting 2. Can you figure out why? Okay, let's see. So the very first thing, it's asking to dump. No, dump it. So it wants to get the configuration of it. Dump it yourself. That's fine. So I never told it the VM name, so now it's going and it's trying to figure out what VM. Okay, so it figured out, it's Windows 11. It's the Win 11 VM. So now we let it read that. So it dumped that to a file. You see, as I was saying before, there's this concept of the workspace where we just say, if you want to create scratch files, then just do that. So now it's trying to read the file. Let's see if it let's see if it actually figures it out. No. Let's see.
It says it is indeed configured to use 32 virtual CPUs.
Yeah. Let me see if it because it did this yesterday. We'll see. This right here. Oh wait. Let me see. Things always fail. Oh, yeah. So that's a stupid bug. I got to figure out why it keeps printing like that. No. Oh, I know why. Gosh darn it. When I did this before, it had cores set to 2, and that's why I figured it out. So the actual, okay, whatever, fine, that sucked. Oh wait, no, this is it. This is like, this is it. Okay, would you like me to modify the topology to 1 socket 32? Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, I felt like I was an idiot. I'm like, I swear I fixed this before. So this was actually the issue is, so now I'm letting it fix this or whatever. So the issue, if anyone was smart and clever, was when I had set this up, this UX of this program drives me nuts. Oh, it's sockets are physical things. Cores are the number of cores on the actual physical thing. So the correct configuration is actually supposed to be 1 socket and 32 cores. So that's what it's actually doing right now. So you can see, like, this is kind of slow because it's like it's trying to rewrite this whole XML file, and so it's writing all of the tokens. Like it has to. I wish I could figure out a way for this to be a little faster. We'll see how long. But you'll see, like, this will be. Oh, let me see what it will do. Let's wait for it to go.
Does it ever run out of like tokens? Do you ever kind of hit a point where you hit a limit and it kind of?
Only, okay, so we do we truncate the histories because like you only have 128K context window, and under the hood GPT script manages that window, so we'll basically start trimming off old messages. But there is one bug where it's like, we're not bug, there's just not really a way to do it. It's like if you have one message which is larger than like 128K, it will blow up. And I don't have a great solution for that. So the cool thing is, so this is like just little like UX things is like, so this was the old configuration because it had downloaded, it wrote it to file, and now it's updating that file. But when it goes to write, it will tell you the diff. So it's like, oh, this is what it's trying to do. So let's see. So now it's trying to update that. Yeah, and now it's trying to, it's going to run, I don't know, let's see. In theory, this should, let me close that. Let's see if it actually changed it. Oh, I don't know if this probably, here, we'll do this because the GUI might be out of sync. And you check that configuration actually applied. The other thing is the VM is running right now, so it, I wonder if it'll tell me that because the VM is running. So like, I don't think it. Yeah, it's telling you have to shut down the VM. Sure, why not? Sure.
No,
anyways,
like when so right now using Vert Manager here, this isn't obviously one of the built-in services demoed. Like this isn't Kubernetes. We're not talking to AWS or DO or GitHub. So this is just sort of Clio talking to your local system and talking to local systems that it already knows how to work with from GPT-4o. Is that kind of what's happening here?
Yeah. Here, I'm just well. I'm gonna cancel this. So the yeah. So this is a cool thing. Is like, so a lot of things it just kind of knows already. So you don't really have to do any, like you can just download Cleo and start doing random things. Even though like we've kind of tweaked it and oriented it towards like these DevOps tools that like whatever the agents we already have. List here, I can say this, list my agents. So the things that I already have built in. But like it already knows all this stuff out of the box, so it'll work surprisingly. So it's like just start using Cleo for just random things. It's only when you find out it's like, oh, it doesn't work very well. So there's two things. One, it doesn't work very well, so you need to tell it, kind of correct it. It's like, oh, it always gets this wrong, so I'm going to configure it to correct these things. The second thing is like what we've done with these different agents is you can give it more context because like there's no, like if I'm doing something Kubernetes related, then I just kind of want it to already know what's my available clusters or something like that. So it's like here, let me see if I do this. Like what's my current kube config? This should, let's see what, yeah. So you notice it said, what's my current kube config? It didn't run a command. It just spit this out. And the reason why it spit it out is this agent is actually configured of like when it runs, it just automatically grabs your kube config, so that we just give it that context. So it just already knows. So when I say things like, what type of cluster it is, or like I say, it's like, what is the cluster provider for my default context? Let's see if this works. Yeah, so it's like it knows and it says like, oh, well, you're running K3D. Because I already gave it the kube config, it just kind of implies and infers that or whatever, just based on the context, because I already gave it that. So like that's why like why you start building these custom agents is just to align it just a little bit, but then also give it a little extra context, and it just makes it that much better and more efficient.
Well, let's talk about this. So, okay, so you're in Kubernetes now. What can someone do with this in Kubernetes? I mean, you're getting things that I could get pretty like you could get pretty easily just from talking to the CLI. So where does this start to give, like, can you build a Helm chart? Can it go and manage my deployments? Can it troubleshoot something?
Oh, yeah.
Like, give me some use cases.
I mean, so it's like, I don't know, so it's like you can do things like deploy this thing. Like I could just start typing of like, want to deploy like Prometheus operator. Oop. And as I always point out, I love the fact that it doesn't care about typos, right? Okay, so now it's just going to want to start proceeding forward. Do that. So you can have it do things like author deployments for you, or install things, and it's going to work pretty well. But what I find like super useful is troubleshooting. Because like if something's failing, let me see if like, let's see. This is probably going to be a while run. Oh no. Okay. So you can have it just start troubleshooting things. Like this probably installed fine. Can you the status of the operator? Yeah, so like this is up and running, but let me see. I don't think unfortunately this is a pretty basic system where I think everything is going. Yeah, everything is fine. What I can do, because it's like once you start troubleshooting, it's really good at like, it will start like, because it can read logs. It's like, let me just do this, like install a Minecraft server with Helm. Don't ask, just do it. We'll just let it do whatever it's going to do.
Darren, do you think that like you could ask this thing to be a little chaos monkey and go in and randomly make changes and see what happens?
Sure.
Let's like how creative does it get?
No. Let's try. So you can tell it no. Like if you tell it no, then it tells the LLM like the user rejected it and to stop. Sometimes it doesn't stop. It's a little persistent. It keeps trying, and you have to say no. But here is like, I wanted to uninstall that. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, apparently I already have Minecraft installed on here because I was demoing that, I think, before. But want to reproduce. Okay, we'll just do this. Maybe chaos monkey and make something and it fail, so we can troubleshoot it. Let's just see what it does. Oh my gosh, sure. It's gonna delete DNS. Oh wait, but it's just gonna. Kubernetes will recover really fast from this one. So let's see. No. Let's do it. Well, sure, why not? Yeah. But this one, like, it's going to recover immediately because Kubernetes, like, you just deleted a pod. So it's like, but that is actually that was technically correct. That is like a chaos monkey type behavior. Okay. Oh, you know what I want to show? Yeah. So what's more fun? Let's see what is in here. Okay, I don't want to. Let's not do this because oops, I just hit Control C. So what's really fun? So it's like, what I found like super good is things okay, I want to deploy a VM on AWS. Okay. So let's see. So it'll ask me all these things. Choosing okay, for one 1.2.22.04, 2 the smallest ARM instance. I can if I like answer these individually, it would then ask me follow up. I just know I can kind of type this way. Configure instance unit 3. Oh, and for 6, make sure that SSH is open to the world. Okay, let's see what it does. So it's trying to figure out what's it's trying to figure. Oh, what is it going to do? Yeah, it's trying to figure out the AMI for Ubuntu or whatever. So it's like, so the very first thing is it failed because so it's like, yeah, fix that. I need to do AWS SSO login. I'm clicking yes on another screen. Just give it a second. It will go through. Allow. All right. Okay. Okay. So you can see like it realized it needed to run SSO login, and then it did that for me. So now the auth is refreshed or whatever, and then it picked up right where it was before. Would you like to? Oh wait, let's see. The command extension would return an empty list. Adjust the filter.
Is it 2404 or should it be 2204?
Did I tell it the wrong thing?
What? 2404.
Oh, I want 2404. Oh yeah. I didn't realize that. I'll tell it.
Now it's going to 2004.
Oh, well, it found 2004, but that's not what I really want. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. But so the cool thing is, so I've used this a lot where it's like you can do anything through the AWS CLI. It's really good. The problem is it's like a pain in the butt to know all the arguments and stuff. So oh my gosh, how many of this is? Oh crap, this is not going to print like a crap ton of stuff, is it? I hope not. Let's see. This is like the annoying thing is when you end up with like an accidentally like really long response. Come on. I might have to cancel this because this might be like a ton of images.
It's listing all the potential images that exist that meet that 2004 tag.
Yeah, which is going to be a bajillion because,
yeah,
you know, Ubuntu.
So if you're getting to state like this, how do you cancel this? Just Do you have to back all the way out, or can you
No,
keep it inside Cleo?
So if you hit, no, it's supposed to. Oh yeah. Oh, ooh, wow. If you hit Control C, it'll interrupt. And then it's like as though the last message didn't happen. So like that was bad. So I just hit Control C, and that will interrupt it, and so it doesn't lose the whole. Like if I hit Control C twice, then it'll interrupt the entire thing, but just once.
The entire. So one gets you to the last command.
Yeah.
2 gets you back to square one.
Yeah. So the issue here is Focal isn't the distro named 2404. Yeah, I can't remember what it is. Jammy. Okay.
Is it 20? You keep saying 2404, but you want 2204, right?
No. 2404 is actually what I want. Sorry.
Oh, it is. Okay.
This is interesting. So it's because the AI has not been trained. It doesn't know about that. So another thing you can do with Clio is, can you search for it has been released. So you can ask it to search the internet. So we have a built-in tool that this one's pretty fancy. It's pretty cool. The way we do this, because searching the internet ended up being a very difficult thing to do without requiring an API key. So what we're doing is, under the hood, this is actually launching a headless browser, going to Google, clicking a bunch of links, and then getting the answer. Yeah, okay. So now let's see if it does it. So it's saying Numbat.
Noble Numbat.
I don't think, is that right? I feel like it's Noble. Let's see. I bet you it's Noble.
Seems like they always have 2, don't they? Like jumping jellyfish, jolly jellyfish.
Yeah, but I think it's Noble. Whatever. Anyways, okay. So is there something else you'd like to do? Oh, there are no commands. Anyways, let's see if we can get it to do the right thing. Oh, now it's just looking for all Noble. Oh crap, now it's probably way too many again. How big was, I don't know how big that result was. Okay, whatever. This is going through a rabbit hole. Okay. Oops. Oh, I hit Control C. Oh, that's a bug. Since I previously hit Control C, the second time I hit it, it canceled the program. Or whatever. But what I was trying to get to eventually was what I wanted to get to is, like, the cool thing is what you can do. Let's see if it gets any further this time. Okay, this one's going to do jammy. So it's like, I think 20, since it already knows. Yeah, so it found it immediately because it already knows about that. So this is the things where it's like, where you would want to, kind of why you might want to customize this a little bit to get it to, that's interesting. That's terrible. Now AI knows the private key. Yeah, whatever. What you is like where you might want to customize it further, where it's like, oh, well, I know, like, it doesn't know about 2404 because it hasn't been trained on that data. So you would want to prompt it and give it a little bit more. So I had just hit like all, so I just let it run any AWS command. This is super dangerous. You wouldn't normally do this because I would have rejected it before it ever tried to do a key or whatever. But what's fun is you can say, can you create a shell script with those commands so I can run this later. So it's like here, it'll create this shell script. So it's like, but then you say, let me reject it and say like, Oops. See, this is where I was saying before, is like when you say no, sometimes it's very persistent, where I said no, and then it's like, oh, there's a problem. Let me try again. Let's see if it will actually. Now it's going to try again. Usually, like, see, it's very persistent. This is like, we have to figure out, like, we've been fooling around with like the prompting of like trying to get it. It's like, stop retrying. No. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me just let it go forward. Because the reason why I was rejecting is I wanted to tell it, like, it's like, oh no, slightly tweak this. But like, it keeps wanting to do this. Okay. So we'll let it go through.
And then you can just modify it?
Well, yeah. So I can say, can you parameterize it? I want to pass the amount of memory as an argument to the script. This is some bug, that's superfluous error. I've got to get Donnie to fix that. Let's see. So now it's trying to. Oh, shoot. I had already said yes to all the rights. Normally, oh, no, never mind. I didn't say yes. Oh, well, that's clever. Because I said I wanted to take the memory as an argument, but memory isn't an argument. Like in AWS, it's the instance type. So it was smart enough to know, like, well, yeah, you really have to parameterize the instance type. And they did that through a really kind of fancy bash hack or whatever. You can default the arguments that way. So let me see, like other random crap. So it's like, I started using this. Okay, I started using this for just a lot of my kind of random development tasks and stuff too. Because you can do like dumb things where it's like, here, let me, like when I was updating, so I'm running this in the source directory for Cleo. I've got to make it so like you can turn off this intro message. Like a lot of the times it's cached, so it's super fast, but so what I had done was like, read all the, read agent GPT, or sorry, do it like this way. So it's agent GPT and agents GPT and then update to reflect any changes. So I did this right before the release. This probably, it might suggest something or whatever. Let's see. Oh, it looks like it reflects. No, it didn't read anything. Stupid thing. Oh, now it's looking in the wrong directory. But anyway, so when I did this before, like it's going to the wrong directory, so I have to tell it the right directory. But I think I can even find, was it this one? Update readme. Oh yeah, so I ran that before because I had the docs were out of sync, and so it read all the GPT file scripts, the underlying stuff, and then it updated the readme. It added that crap in there because it was like, oh, you didn't. I had added these other things and didn't have it in the docs. So it's like I just use it for a bunch of random things like that, where it's like just kind of tedious things. Like the other day was like, oh, Cleo, before I launched Cleo, it used to be called Kevin because it started off as a Kubernetes assistant, and it starts with a K, or it was a play on the fact that Devin was this thing that was going to replace it was an AI programmer. So I'm like, well, what's the Kubernetes equivalent? Kevin. So it used to be called Kevin, but then I renamed it to Cleo. So I actually used Cleo itself and just said, can you read all of the my make files and my workflow configurations and just rename it from Kevin to Cleo? And so it just went and found all the instances and renamed it. I mean, it was kind of a stupid, like I could have easily scripted that or whatever. But that's kind of like the point is like, there's like simple low hanging fruit. It's just really easy. to do all this stuff. So I've ended
Okay,
up.
so we've shown a little bit of what you can do with it.
Yeah.
What is the process for building things to extend it? So, okay, someone wants to build an adapter for Terraform. Let's just say a good one that's going to be capable.
This is yeah, like we can even try Terraform. Sure. Like, well, I'm not very good at Terraform, but
I mean,
I wouldn't even know what to do with it. But anyways,
let's just say like conceptually, I don't think we have to actually build it here. Like, what's the conceptual process to add a Terraform agent into this, or a Ansible agent into this, or something like that?
Yeah. So there's already good, like if you want to, there's in the README, there's instructions on how to do this. So there's kind of like an example of adding a Go releaser, because this is one I actually use a lot, because whenever I need to modify Go releaser, I can never remember the syntax of it. So there is so if you want to follow, there's instructions on how to write a custom agent. But kind of the first thing to understand is under the hood how GPT script really works. Sorry, not GPT. How Cleo works is it's actually just a lightweight wrapper around GPT script. There's this file here, hacking, that will actually point out that this is technically just a GPT script. This is like the whole program or whatever. So you can actually just run GPT script like this. This is more raw, like you don't get free API access from Cleo. There's some little, but you can actually just run GPT script AI, Cleo, and this should end up running the exact same thing. It will probably have to clone and set up some things. Let's see. Did I type the right thing? Yeah. So you can see you can just run it as so it's like the same thing. Okay.
So now it's using your OpenAI keys in that case.
Yeah, in this case, this is using the ones that I had configured. It's not using the public one. But so this was like the thing is like because the code that's in Cleo is really just a wrapper around GPT script. It was just like we just wanted to make it super easy, so you didn't have to get into some of the nuances of like the lower level. So the key thing is like to extend this is you are just writing more GPT script, but it's pretty straightforward. So it's like if you want to learn all the things you can do with GPT script, that's cool. But you can also just follow this instructions, and it'll tell you like the basics of what you need to know.
Okay, so if I build one, let's say I build a really good Terraform one, can I share it in some place? Like where do I?
So we can go through and I'll just show you what. So it's like the easiest way to kind of understand the scope of these is in Cleo. There's this folder called agents. These are all the built-in agents.
So if I clone one of those, is that a good place to start?
Yeah, so a good place to start would be like to just grab one of the existing ones. So it's like, so here, this is one for DO.
Wait,
so
that's it? Where's the rest of the code for this DO thing?
So it's like this one, like the Kubernetes one is probably the most complete one.
It's probably like 20 lines of code, man. Where's the logic?
So I'll show you. Let me show you. Let me go. Oh, GitHub is also so here's another one for GitHub. So GitHub this one's a little more complicated. Let's fool around with the GitHub one. I'll show you this. So you can get an idea with GitHub. So this is just GPT script. And the way GPT script works is whenever you see a --, that's like a new tool. They're like different bodies or whatever of code. So what you do is you create one, and the requirements is if you're writing a kind of a third-party one, it has to be like this. GPT script, like this is in the docs too. It'll tell you this. Is you have to have the two requirements. The bare minimum is you have to have these two lines here, context and whatever. If you don't put these in here, Cleo will blow up and it'll tell you you need to have those two lines. So this is kind of like if you're starting, this is what you start with. Okay. So that's just kind of boilerplate. You have to have that in there. So then you want to give a good name and description. The name is going to be the actual name of your agent. So if you say @whatever, that's going to be the name. And you should give it a good description. The description is really important because if you want that agent to be kind of dynamically called by AI, where it's like if you type some question and it's like, hey, like if you don't directly reference the agent, if you want that, is like, if you give it a good description, then the AI will be like, hey, you know what? This agent might be able to handle this request better, and it forwards it on. So you need a name and description. Then you just need to give it some body here that like grounds the agent, where it's like, because by telling it like you're an expert on this, and some introductory message, like here it's like, first give a quick summary of the current workflows, blah blah blah. So by giving it just this little bit of prompting, it kind of knows now that, like, because you want to typically, let me see, like, let me look at another one here. I think we might do this with like AWS. Is you want to kind of give it some context of like, assume the user's using AWS. You're trying to help them with, it's because so it knows going forward to kind of answer all the questions in that context. So it steers all of the things. So if you say like, I want to create a VM, the very first question is not, okay, well, do you want to do it locally or in the cloud? It's like, no, assume I'm already in AWS. Okay. So the amount of prompting is typically extremely small, of like, just ground it, and then like, you know, what do you want to help them with something or whatever. So in this one here, we have this, okay, yeah. So once you give it this introductory thing, is on top of that, what you might want to do is give it additional context information. So it's like, for this GitHub Actions, since I use this one quite a bit, is like, I just wanted it to automatically know whatever workflows I have available to me. So you have this context tool. And so what a context tool is effectively is when it runs this tool, whatever the output of it, it's going to pretty much add to this body, like it adds it to the system prompt. So this tool, this workflows, this is just a dumb little shell script that is looking for workflows, and then it will just print them out of like, look, here's the workflow files that exist. Like that just helps it know like, oh, you already have these workflow files. But then for GitHub, what we figured out when we were using this is like, it's just not always right when it runs the GitHub command. It will, if it runs the wrong command, it will fix itself and eventually find the right command, but it's just annoying. So what we did is just added in this little bit of text for things where we know, like, you know, let it know that there's the search flag because it's kind of useful and it doesn't seem to by default want to use it. So you can just tell it that. But then also we just run like GitHub --gh help. So that prints the current help. And so with this tiny little bit of information, it's now pretty darn good at running GitHub commands and stuff. So it's like, so I can do, so I'm running Cleo in Cleo or whatever, but I can say like, this agent GitHub, can you check the status of my workflows? Something like that. And so it'll go and it'll say, let's see, and I think everything's running these days. Let me do this. Sometimes it's too verbose. Oh my gosh, is it going to print out every single one? Give it a couple more seconds before I get impatient. 3.
How often does that happen with you using Cleo? Do you find that
that it outputs too much?
You tend to be like short with her?
Yes.
You find that you're constantly like pushing back, like stop it.
I'm extremely impatient about everything in general. So like, no, I'll just cancel. It's like you're saying too much, and then I'm also not very nice to it. Like, the last failing run, and why did it fail? Let's see what it'll tell me here. Last failing was, yeah. So it's like, so this is telling me like that was the last one and it failed. Like I know actually for this run, yeah, I forgot to check in the go_sum. The latest updates to the go_sum file. And so anyway, so like it can start troubleshooting this stuff. Okay. But going back to like, so if I want to write a custom one, so let's say like we want to run, I don't even think I have Terraform. Oh, I do have Terraform. Okay. So theoretically what you might want to do is let's say I create one called TFGPT. oops, why did it say maker? That was stupid. So I'm going to create a new one for Terraform. So we're going to call it TF, because I hate typing Terraform completely. And we'll call it a Terraform agent using the Terraform CLI. You help people run Terraform in the current working directory. So I already know, like, the way Clio is, it tends to want to operate in files in our workspace, not the working directory, where, like, for this, it would make more sense. Like, look at my current working directory. So, so ask the user what they would do. And I bet you it already knows. Okay, so I was saying before, you have to add these things: GPT script, AI, Cleo, context, and you have to put chat here. Okay, so I need those things. So I'm going to add one more context tool for TF help. I don't even know if it needs this, but I'm just going to do it. And so this is, again, just going to
use the dash up above or below one of them. They're not the same.
Oh, yeah. Let me see, if I run Terraform help, yeah, okay. For Terraform, Terraform help. The reason why I'm doing or true is, like, so if the CLI doesn't exist, it won't just fail. Okay, so once you write this agent, what you can do is you can run this agent directly just like this. So this is great when you're developing it. So what this will do is it's going to basically drop directly into that agent. So you can see, like, it didn't go through the normal introductory, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. It just went directly into it. So I can just start doing whatever of, like, I don't know. Do I have any GF config? Let's see what it, why? Let's check this here in your workspace directory. Why? That's what I don't want to do. See, so it's like, this is like the kind of the thing of, like, of developing one of these. It's like, I don't want it help me, where you can tell it, like, so the user wants to file in the current working directory, not the workspace. Okay, so do something like that. So let's see. Let's see if it if I change that. Yeah. Okay. So that now it's doing the right thing, right?
Maybe write one.
Yeah. Well, what would be thing like? Okay. I want to deploy a VM on AWS. So this is, like, I'm going to tell you, like, in general, like, this is not the smartest thing to, like. It's like starting from complete scratch. You're going to get, like, kind of whatever
default,
you know, the AI comes up with. It's significantly better when you already have an asset and you're modifying or troubleshooting it. But with this, I want to deploy on a VM on AWS. Can you create a script for that? Let's see what it does. Oh, okay. Okay. Next, you'll need to initialize plan deployment. Okay. Wait, where did it write it? It wrote it to main.tf. Sure. I don't know. Let's just see what it does. So the file. Can you show me the file you wrote again? Let's see what it wrote. Okay, that should be pretty straightforward. US West 2, blah blah blah. Sure, let's just try it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's run that. See what it does. So it's going to run plan. Oh, this is like an annoying bug. Let's see what happens. Because this GPT-4 in general wants to run things in parallel. So this is, again, like, this is something where I would go back and modify the command prompt and say, do not run things in parallel, because it wants to a lot of time. But in this situation, it's actually running these two things in parallel, which is wrong, because it's going to try to run plan before init. But let's just see, because like now it looks like the plan failed, but the init, okay. It looks like the init comes, but the plan command entered an error to take it. Let's try to run. Yeah, so we'll run that again. Okay, yeah, and now it's going to run plan because it tried to run them in parallel. That didn't work. So let's run plan again. Command generate an execution plan. I don't know. Would you like? Sure. Why not? It's one of the end. Oh, that's dumb. Apply. Oh, wait, no. Is that? I don't know. Is auto approve? That seems like a bad idea, but I don't know. So let's see. Terraform apply failed due to an invalid error. Need to update. Oh, would you like me to find an AMI for? Yeah, find it. Sure.
Do you find that this happens sometimes though, where you're just sort of like you're going and just approving? Like, I worry. Well, yeah. I worry when I'm in there when it starts saying, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? I'm like, oh, I don't know what that is. I need to back out. So I do find myself.
Well, yeah. I mean, so that's
trying to, it's like the. Are you sure you want to do this? Architecture definitely has kept me from letting it.
So the nice thing, it's like people talk about, it's like, oh, AI is going to replace. It's like, no, like if you just gave this to an idiot who doesn't know what they're doing, it would be so like it's dangerous. Like, so it's like the idea is like it's helping you. Like you already like, so I already know like these commands to a certain degree. It's like I can look at this and be like, oh, that was it's like because I don't use Terraform. I'm just not but the fact like it's like it says -- auto approve, it's like, oh, that didn't seem like a good idea. Like I would have said no, and then I could have asked like, you can also just ask it. Oh, so it's like, so this is kind of interesting, is like, in this situation, apparently, according to the description, assuming the description is correct, this was actually the right thing to do, because like I'm running apply, but like I don't want it to prompt, because it actually wouldn't have worked, because it doesn't have access to standard in to do it or whatever. So just have to ask, somebody asked right now, do you know Temple OS? Of course it knows about Temple OS.
Terry Davis.
To Temple OS. We'll see if we can get it to
It's not straightforward.
Let's go support Holy See. This would be fun to see if it could. It's like, no, unfortunately, it cannot run on. I wonder if I could. Anyways, that's a whole different story. Yeah. So we were going anyway. So I don't need to go down this rabbit hole of
getting. We need to wrap too. We're an hour and 5 minutes into this.
So, anyways, like the main thing is like this is super easy to run. It's super easy to configure. It's free. Try it out. I just want, like, I find it useful. I think it'll be useful for other people. This is what we're just trying to do with AI is like, I think the biggest problem right now is like finding useful use cases of AI. It's like an amazingly useful technology, but we're still kind of struggling of like how we can use it. And so this is a useful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be really good too, just as people play with it, we'd love to see more agents get developed. So if you want to build an agent, or you think there's a cool system that needs an agent, reach out. Building these things a little bit of, does take a little bit of, I don't want to say trial and error, but you kind of work through the AI's capabilities and prompt it the correct way. So if you're having trouble with it, reach out. We're happy to help. Yeah. Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever you can find us, or just open up a GitHub issue and we'll chat with you there.
Yeah, and there was a question, AWS Bedrock support. I don't think we have Bedrock. I think Bedrock is the one we still don't support. Bedrock has just kind of been difficult to support, but we do support like Google, a lot of other like Google, Azure, Mistral, like a lot of different backends. Bedrock has been the one that we've kind of struggled to support.
We'd love help. If someone is a Bedrock expert, it's an open source project. We would love help. So please volunteer your expertise, build things with this, help us contribute, give us likes. We, we'd love as many people as possible to see what Cleo can do. All right, Darren, great work. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for taking so long to go through this. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Have a great afternoon.